Hey everybody, I'm Trey Ecker. I'm a South Florida insider, and today I'm joined by Morgan. Morgan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, I'm great. Yeah, so we were just talking about it, but yeah, the whole Zoom thing and being at home and how you can be doing so many things at once. I know you've talked about recently on social media about like having highs and lows, and I know you were talking about "Don't Think About It" specifically doing well on the TikTok charts, um, and how that's been for you. So I'm just curious, like, what's been the biggest journey in this whole crazy biggest lesson in the whole crazy journey of this past year?
Oh my, wow. Well, that's like I could write an entire novel about how this time how everything has shifted. I mean, the title of my entire project is Meridian, and Meridian is all about like how things change and how things flow. But what I'm most curious on is how things break and how people break and how people fall apart and how people move through difficult things, which has basically been like, to paint the picture, March of 2020, which is my birthday. I'm a Pisces, and so I have a lot of feelings. And March of 2020, I was in Barcelona celebrating my birthday, and I had just come off the road of like, I mean, it was like a year of touring. It was like crazy, and I was like, I need a break. I didn't quite think that I needed to manifest like an entire like world break, but don't. I'm not taking responsibility for that. But basically, it was like we're shutting down Barcelona and they're shutting down LA, and I was like, that's in what? What are you talking about? So I basically fly home into, what now feels like ancient history, even though it was just like 18 months ago. But it's just, I flew home and everything stopped. And then it was like, how do you reach people? How do you do things? And while everyone dove into making bread and being just model citizens, I just fell apart. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like I have a
Yeah.
journal that I keep, and I would just write, something from every day. And like some of my days were like, what did you do? You woke up, you made coffee, you know? Um, but it was really the internet, and specifically TikTok that broke for me, because I just started posting. Some of it was like my dog who's sitting here like singing along with me to these songs that I was like, I like these songs, you know? Um, I started posting that, and then the best part was I started seeing people using my song to soundtrack, you know, we'll talk about Wonder, we'll talk about Don't Think About It because it's happening right now, but it's like people soundtracking these moments of complete unknown. I wonder if anyone will hear this. Like, I wonder if I'll ever be fearless, to now, people using it for funny and serious things of, what they're not trying to think about. I am not trying to think about Delta. Do you know what I mean? Uh,
Right, right.
but it was the internet that just sort of connected me to myself and to these people out there, and being like, well, you know what, I'm just gonna put one foot in front of the other, and I'm gonna put out a song. And now with Don't Think About It, and now that like live shows are starting to happen, it's kind of like I'm getting to see what, a year of change has done for me and for the world, because we're re-entering it and we're not the same. We are,
Mm.
I think, changed in, again, big and small ways, because um we're hopeful, but we've also been broken. I think we've been broken down into these essential beings. And there's a song that is on my EP that is not out, and I'm just going to say a lyric from it, and it's you are not in survival mode anymore. And I've really been thinking about like what that means, because I feel like we have been in survival mode for so long, but now, as we start to gather safely, and I got to play Bottle Rock Festival last weekend, and I'm in Riot Fest in Chicago tomorrow. Um, it's like we are we are coming through this, and there's just so much. It's like flowers growing again. You know, it's just this beautiful. Um, it's just beautiful. You asked me one
Yeah.
thing, and I
No, no, you're making my job easier. I appreciate it. It is interesting to me though. You talked about a little bit about, obviously this past year has been a change. That is for certain. I think we've all experienced lots of highs and lows. But back in 2018, when things were still normal, you were doing South by Southwest, and you said in an interview that your music is constantly changing for you. So I'm curious with a song like Wonder, which started at the beginning of the pandemic, how that has shifted for you now and like the meaning behind it.
first of all, great research. Um, uh, I think the question is in the answer, or the answer is in the question. Actually, that's a line from Wonder. Why are we waiting for the answer when the question's way too hard to understand? I understood your question though,
Okay.
and I think that again, the answer is actually in that, like, Wonder. You know, Wonder is a song that I needed, and uh, I didn't think I was gonna make it through, to be honest. You know, the beginning of this quarantine was so earth shattering and disorienting and scary. And you know, I had, oh, look at that. 11 make a wish. I mean, if you want to know anything about me, it's that I have an alarm set for 11. That's the whole interview, you know.
Yeah, I think that'll be the tagline there.
I mean, if you want to know anything about me, I'm a Pisces and I have an 11:11 alarm. Anyways, um wonder was the question that I was asking. I wonder if anyone will hear this. I wonder if I'll ever be fearless. I wonder if I'll end up alone. Don't know where I'm going, you know, and I think that sometimes my own music will scare me to the point that I'm like, well, then that's exactly where I'm gonna go. You know, if it scares you a little, I mean, there's obviously caveman running from, lion fear, but sometimes fear and excitement, this is actually a true thing I believe. Fear and excitement share the same valve. And sometimes things that scare us are actually just things that excite us. It's just we don't know how to name it, you know. And Wonder was just so honest, and I just had to put it out, you know. Um, Being here, I now have just moved back to Nashville, which is where I'm from, and there's so much about this place that didn't allow me to sort of be who I was, because it was different. And you know, being a gay man aside, it's like it's just anything that is different, people get scared of, you know. But I am trying to embrace all those sides of not just me but the world, you know. The video for Don't Think About It is uh basically, you know, a gender reveal that's like my version of gender is just a rainbow. You know what I mean? Like my gender is not held by binary.
Yeah,
uh,
I am glad you talked about that because I wanted to ask about that. I really like the opening scene in that music video. You chose to use a vertical video, which is different. Obviously, not many people do that. And then obviously it cuts to the rainbow cake. So I was just curious, like, what was the creative process and the decision making going into
um well, I had met that cake artist, Johnny Cakes, and at first I thought that it would be funny to be like, because I just think that some of these wedding, birth, like, don't roast me here, but whatever.
that?
Some of these things, you know what was not, you know what, I want to say this. If I can pull a plus from this quarantine, it was that weddings had a Zoom invite, because it's like sometimes it's like so expensive to go to like a wedding, and it's like, just give me like a virtual link. You know what I mean? I think that should be kept going.
Yeah.
Um, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but it's true. And some of the things that we subscribe to, I just think are, if they have meaning to you, that's great. But let's just look at it from a different angle. On a real note, there was the story of the fire that was started by a gender reveal. And it's like, maybe we just stop these crazy explosions, to like reveal some powder about some gender that, like, you know, is your baby happy and healthy? Do you know what I mean? Does that
Right.
have anything to do with gender? Um, but yeah, the cake was something that I was like kind of fixated on. Like, how can I make a cake be a part of some sort of like play at this trope, right? So it started with the cake artist, and then the fabulous director Netta. She had just had a baby, and she comes from a family that, not to give her story, but it was just, you know the binaries are what it is. And I get it because I come from a town that's like that. And we just wanted to have that cake be like the center point of the thing. But what I think is really fun about how the video has been received online is because we started with the vertical video. I feel like people aren't even aware that it's like a music video. Like, I've even had, people being like, you need to give their money back. Like, they hired you to, not saying that this is what they sound like, but I'm not like, you gotta give their money back because they hired you to do a gender reveal and then it's a rainbow, and I'm like, that's the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I I think it's absurd. Um, but yeah, it's been beautiful to watch people, you know, somebody just shared this like rainbow bridge in El Salvador that, like, they were visiting and they were using my song, and I just, you know, for a a year that was so closed off and scared, and there's still so much fear held. It's just beautiful watching these reactions to the video, and these videos being made with the song that's like, let's just not think about it, like, let's just like live and be good. There was
Right.
Amanda Gorman wrote something beautiful on Instagram that was like, you know, uh, it wasn't our natural instinct to be so hateful towards each other or to be so divided. Like, we used to, you know, be like, "How are you doing?" and wait for the response, or
Right.
like, "Can I get you anything?" and mean it,
Focusing on the people rather than any social norms behind them.
Yeah, and focusing on our shared humanity, because there's a lot more that binds us than divides us.
Mhm.
It's really about what lens you're choosing to look through. And um I'm choosing to, like, see how we can be together. And that brings me to, I'm so excited to play these shows and these festivals, and to tour in the fall, because it's just been uh it's been so long since we've been able to, like, gather and have a shared experience, and it is what I live for.
Do you and Small Pools have any special plans for the tour
um
in
well, I
terms of
think
shows?
one of the things is that we are singing our song that we did together that was released at the beginning of the pandemic, called Slow Down. And it was like weird timing because we planned on doing it in April. That was just the plan. And then we did Slow Down. So it wasn't like, oh, perfect, this is the song for this moment. It's like, this is just what it felt, this is what felt right. um so we get to play that live for, it'll be the first time in these cities, but we actually played it live at Wonderbus in Columbus a couple weeks ago, and it was like, just I described it as like putting a fish back in water. You know what I mean? It was just like,
Right.
you just put these fish back in the ocean, and it was like, magic. I'm excited because I'm playing this tour completely solo. So it's just me on piano. And that is both something that terrifies me, because it's like, it's just me, my songs, and you. Um, but I also think it's something that coming out of this year, it's like the way that I want to reconnect with people is not in how loud uh, and crazy I can be, but in how like intimate and connected I can be. And so that feels both special and scary.
Yeah. So I could talk to you for an hour, but obviously I don't want to keep you that long. Last thing before we go, I just want to ask. You mentioned before that your music evokes certain colors. You mentioned that back in an interview in like 2019. So I'm just curious, for Meridian Volume 2, if you had to pick like a color palette for the EP, what would it be?
I mean, neon rainbow.
Neon rainbow. Okay.
I won't choose one color, but I'm really into neon. I mean, it's just actually, has anyone coined neon rainbow? I don't know. Neon rainbow, that's my palette and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. If you have anything else you want to add, please do that right now. But I don't have any more questions for you.
Great to meet you. Thanks for the
Yeah,
great
it was
question,
nice meeting you too.
and I
I
stay
hope
safe.
you do well tomorrow at your concert.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah,
Thank
have
you.
a good one.
Bye.
Bye.